Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, the last science show is here and ready to give you more great information. In light of Black History Month, we are honoring Black scientists. Let's honor Walter Lincoln Hawkins. Walter Lincoln Hawkins was born on March 21st, 1911. He was orphaned as a young child and was raised by his sister. He faced a difficult upbringing in a world where it was difficult for African Americans to find adequate encouragement in education and at work. He attended the acclaimed all-black Dunbar High School in Washington, D.C., where he showed promise in math and science. He developed a sense of self-confidence that propelled him toward his dreams. Hawkins pursued a degree in chemical engineering at Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute in Troy, New York, from where he graduated in 1932. He went on to complete a master's degree in chemistry at Howard University and a doctoral degree at McGill University in Montreal. His specialization was cellulose chemistry. After completing his education, Hawkins took on a postdoctoral fellowship at Columbia University. In 1942, he was offered a position at AT&T's Bell Laboratories in Murray Hill, New Jersey, where he became the first African-American scientist on staff. Over the course of his 34-year career at Bell Labs, he developed a reputation for adding years to the life of plastics, enabling universal telephone service, and even more important, to service providers, making it economical. At Bell Labs, Hawkins conducted research on polymers, specifically thermal and oxidative stabilization of polymers for telecommunications. Up until about 1950, telephone cables were coated with a costly as well as toxic lead-based material. This was replaced with polyethylene, which was introduced after World War II by the British. Unfortunately, these early plastic coatings quickly became brittle and breakable in sunlight. In 1956, Hawkins, along with his partner Victor Lanza, invented a polymer that had all the desired characteristics. This polymer was essentially a plastic that contains a chemical additive composed of carbon and antioxidants that prevents the material from deteriorating, even in severely hot or cold weather conditions. The new material, now known as plastic cable sheath, went into production in the 1960s and became widely used as an inexpensive, durable, and safe coating for telecommunications wire. It is still used today to protect fiber optic cable. Hawkins was named head of plastics chemistry R&D at Bell Labs and later assistant director of the Chemical Research Laboratory. In 1963, he became Bell Labs Supervisor of Applied Research, and in 1972, he was promoted to department head. Among his numerous technical achievements at Bell Labs was his design of a lab test using
spectroscopy
to predict the durability of a plastic surface. He also contributed to the development of techniques for recycling and reusing plastics. He published 3 books, more than 50 scientific papers, and earned 18 U.S. and 129 foreign patents. He was also very active as a mentor of disadvantaged and minority youth. He became the first chairman of the American Chemical Society's Project SEED, summer educational experience for the economically disadvantaged. In 1976, he retired from Bell Labs, but he remained active as a mentor, educator, and industrial visionary for many years after. From 1976 to 1983, he served as the research director of the Plastics Institute of America. He also taught at New York's Polytechnic Institute and acted as a technical consultant for chemical and pharmaceutical companies. Before his death in 1992, Hawkins was honored with a National Medal of Technology presented to him by President George H.W. Bush. His awards and distinctions also include the International Award from the Society of Plastics Engineers, the Percy L. Julian Award, who we referenced before, watch that episode, the Distinguished Alumni Award from Howard University, and at least 5 honorary degrees. In 1975, he became the first Black engineer to be inducted into the National Academy of Engineering. Bell Labs' annual W. Lincoln Hawkins Mentoring Excellence Award is named in his honor. In 2010, he was inducted into the National Inventors Hall of Fame. Thank you so much for tuning in to this very exciting episode of The Last Science Show. Thank you, Walter, once again, for paving the way for people like me or people like you that might want to grow up, do something big, or you already have grown up and you just want to persevere. Whatever you're doing, keep doing it. Don't be discouraged. Don't let any delays delay you. So continue to like, subscribe, comment, and share for more from The Last Science Show. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good science. The first black scientist we are going to honor is George Washington Carver. George Washington Carver was an African-American scientist and educator. Carver is famous for many inventions, including a number of uses for the peanut. George Washington Carver was born enslaved and went on to become one of the most prominent scientists and inventors of his time, as well as a teacher of the Tuskegee Institute. Carver devised over 100 products using one major crop, the peanut, including dyes, plastics, and gasoline. Carver was most likely born in 1864, enslaved in Diamond, Missouri, during the Civil War years. Like many children of the enslaved, the exact year and date of his birth are unknown. Carver was one of many children born to Mary and Giles, an enslaved couple owned by Moses Carver. A week after his birth, Carver was kidnapped along with his sister and mother from the Carver farm by raiders from the neighboring state of Arkansas. The three were later sold in Kentucky. Among them, only the infant Carver was located by an agent of Moses Carver and returned to Missouri. The conclusion of the Civil War in 1865 brought the end of slavery in Missouri. Moses and his wife Susan decided to keep Carver and his brother James at their house after that time. Annie Jean Easley was an American computer scientist, mathematician, and rocket scientist. She worked for the Lewis Research Center of the National Aeronautics and Space Administration and its predecessor, the National Advisory Committee for Aeronautics. Annie Easley had never heard of the National Advisory Committee for Aeronautics, also known as NACA, when she read an article about twin sisters who were human computers at the Aircraft Engine Research Laboratory in Cleveland, Ohio. The lab, the predecessor of the NASA Glenn Research Center, was in need of people with strong math skills, and she was in need of a job after recently relocating from Birmingham, Alabama. 2 weeks after reading the article, Easley began a career that would span 34 years. She would contribute to numerous programs as a computer scientist, inspire many through her enthusiastic participation in outreach programs, break down barriers for women and people of color in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics.